When you look at a guy like Micah Parsons, what jumps out to you?
I think the biggest thing is his explosiveness. I mean, honestly, that's the one thing you see is his movement skills are exceptional.
And then, obviously, Mike McCarthy goes out and guarantees a win. You had a little retort last night on the show. What do those things irk you when a coach says that? Do they, what kind of value do you put on that?
Well, I don't put a lot of value because it's interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't line up and play. It's the players. So as far as I'm concerned, I just try to stay out of that portion of it and just make sure everybody knows how interesting it is, and just the fact that you'll show up and you'll play on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you never know until the game's done. So we'll just show up, we'll play football, we'll play hard and see how things go.
You guys obviously played Dallas last year, but a very different team. No Dak Prescott. Do those game tapes, does that mean anything for you guys in terms of this game? Or it's just...
You always look at stuff to see what they did, what they're doing. You always got to have the comparison, and that's really one of the things that we looked at is, what are they doing? What are they, what are they trying to do? Those things are all important. I mean, and both teams are different. I mean, these are completely different football teams in terms of the players on them.
And they obviously have all those wide receivers on their end. What's the challenge that they present for your group this week?
I think the biggest key is there's one football, more so than anything else. And so as far as the challenge is concerned, it's, trying to stop what they do.
When we talked about the defensive ends earlier in the week, you said Shaka Tony's one who you feel like gives a little more juice. Just what have you seen from him, and do you think you maybe get him more involved down here in the final stretch?
Yeah, I see a little explosiveness, quickness off the edge. He's got a little bit of natural slither to him in terms of his movement skills. And he's a guy that, if he can get into a little bit of a rhythm, especially for a young guy, he could help make an impact.
And just that group overall, how have you seen them? Now I think we're at about a month of sample size for them. Just how have you seen them kind of all work together and hold down the fort while Chase and Montez are out?
Well, what I've liked has just been the consistent play that we've gotten from the group. As I said, it's a blue-collar group of guys that just come in and work hard, and they're not flashy, but they're consistent.
Allen become mask issues. Has John Allen become a more vocal leader, do you think, in recent weeks?
Vocal? I guess so. He's a leader really by his presence, by his appearance and by example. I mean, he will say things, but it's not like he's always looking to give a speech or anything like that. But he does challenge his teammates.
And not Washington or Dallas related, Demaryius Thomas, passing, played against him in Super Bowl 50, multiple matchups with him while you were in Carolina. Was just your general reaction?
No, it was sad to hear. Very unfortunate set of circumstances. We'll keep him and his family in our thoughts and prayers.
Ron, you talked about having a good crowd, a good fan base creates an energy that players can play to. What do you think that means, or what would the significance be if there was one on Sunday?
Well, I just think it's one of those things that, you love energy, you want energy, and you want to be able to play in a situation, where when things go well, they get excited, and you could feed off of that energy.
What would you say to, I guess, fans who would say that they would love to be there, but, whether it be ticket prices or other circumstances, they couldn't be?
Well, just, show your support in one way or another. We really appreciate the support we get, whether they're there or, out in the community or watching on TV, what have you.
When you guys faced them last year, too, it was technically first place, but the records were what they were. Does this feel like it has more juice heading in?
Yeah, it does. Part of it is because we do have the fan base back out there, have our fans in the stands. That's kind of cool. And I think that's a really neat thing. I really do. I think the thing that, we all have to understand more so than anything else is that as we return back to normal, we hopefully will get more and more fans, and there will be more hype on things, in terms of that. That I think is really the cool thing about it because, hopefully once we emerge from this situation completely, we can have games where you do have full sets of stands and that type of stuff.
And even if McCarthy's comments are interesting and not important, can that add to the specter of the rivalry or anything like that?
I guess so, but again, like I said, the biggest thing that, I look at more so than anything else is what happens on Sundays. All this other stuff is interesting till you play the game, That's the thing that matters.
Jerry Jones said earlier today on the radio that outside the Texas area, Washington is where Cowboys fans have the most support. Obviously, showing up to the game is number one, but how else would you like fans of Washington to show support? Kind of your last message to fans out there before game day.
Oh, more so than anything else, would love to see them in the stands. That's the biggest thing for us is, when you have seats in the butts in the seats, that's a cool thing. It really is. And it means a lot, and when you're in a stadium where there's energy, you feed off of it.
I just try to come in every day and handle my business, try to be prepared as possible, and any help I can give to others, if they're struggling with the play or memorizing something, I try to help out there. But I think the coolest thing about our receiver group is I think everyone learns from everybody. I think that's a good dynamic to have in a room like we have. And, everyone at each level of their career, you can learn stuff from each guy. So it's cool to have, a group like we have here.
And you came here expecting to pair with Fitzpatrick, but you're playing with Heineke. What sort of chemistry have you guys been able to develop in the past couple months?
Yeah, just continuous, reps at practice. And communication in the locker room, is continuing to grow and help. And, obviously his confidence is growing too. He's slinging the rock now and doing well. And so it's been good to, kind of expand our offense and be able to, complete some of those passes downfield. And, obviously, Antonio carrying the rock the way he is helps as well. So it's been a good 4-game stretch.
Hey, Adam, we've been asking everybody to help explain how you guys went from 2-6 to where you are now with this 4 games in a row. If you had to put your finger on something, why are you guys in this position that you're in?
We stuck with it. I think, we stuck with our plan. Didn't falter. No one was pointing fingers at each other. And like I just said, I think, offensively, being able to run the ball effectively like we have. AG's done a good job, and JD and J-Pat and those guys. And receivers blocking as well. I think being able to run the ball has been important. And, we were hitting some of those downfield shots and keeping drives alive. We put some really good drives together and been able to capitalize on that. So.
Well, Taylor Heineke wasn't a well-known guy before, coming here and all that and did what he did against Tampa and going into camp. What were some of your questions you had about him before he started playing? Did you wonder about what he would do?
No questions really. I knew he was a guy that had been in the system. When I was in Tampa, I remember seeing him, with the Panthers. So, I knew he had been in the system a good bit. But yeah, when we got here, I think immediately in OTAs and in training camp, I saw the plays he could make with his feet and with his arms. So immediately I was, a believer in what he could do. And, obviously, we brought Fitzpatrick in to play and start, but with that injury in the first game, we knew Taylor, had to be the guy. So I think we all believed in him and knew what he could do, and he's proven that.
It always seems to be that he has to prove himself, obviously, every week. And otherwise, like, if he does well, it's this. If he does poorly, it's like, oh, get him out. What do you look for when you see a guy that's like, hey, this is what people are missing about him to prove that he can show that he could do this, or maybe has a higher ceiling than what maybe people think?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that just has that chip on his shoulder mentality. Everywhere he goes, and I can relate to that as well. But I don't think that in his mindset he's coming out every Sunday trying to prove people wrong. I think he believes in himself. I know we believe in him here, and he's just operating in this system and doing what he can do best. And it's proven to work out the past 4 games.
I know there's a good bit of time left in the season still, but just coming here on a 1-year deal, how much do you think about beyond the season and where you want to be, and is this where you want to stay?
Yeah, no, we have 5 huge games left, and that's where my head's at the moment. And obviously, it's a blessing to be healthy and to be able to play in the games that I've played this season. That's all I can ask for, and 5 very important games, and I'm excited to suit up and finish the season strong.
When Terry mentioned you the other day, he talked about you being a savvy veteran. Is there a point in your career where you become a savvy veteran, a year or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question because after your rookie year, one of my coaches my second year, called me a veteran guy. I'm a veteran receiver now. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like a veteran. I'm only a second year player, but yeah, I know it is weird because obviously time flies fast in the NFL. I mean, the season's over in a heartbeat, and this is my 7th season, and I think. This is my 3rd team I've been on. The more teams you play on, you learn from other coaches, you learn from other systems, and you see what works, see what doesn't work. And I think the more you can kind of see and the more you can experience, the more knowledge you can disperse to teammates and try to help them out. So I think this being my 3rd team and seeing a lot of different things, it's benefited me, and I can finally call myself a veteran.
It's not like you get a 5-year card and that's
yeah,
it.
who knows? Who knows?
Like almost half of your targets this year have come in the fourth quarter. Why is that?
I have no idea. I don't know. I think we've had to put together a few good fourth quarter drives in the 2-minute, and I think that's an opportunity to throw the ball and make some plays. A lot of the defensive schemes are a little safer zone coverages, and we can attack those in a 2-minute situation. And I've been able to capitalize on that. So that's probably the best way I can answer that question.
Yeah. What makes you kind of like a blanket on 3rd down? Catching it more on 1st down too, but it seems like you're a 3rd down option as well.
I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a blanket. I mean, I think having the guys we have in a room, I mean, all the guys have stepped up and made plays on 3rd down. Last week, DeAndre in the Monday night game on 4th down, he's made some clutch 3rd and 4th down catches, and across the board, we've all made some big plays on 3rd and 4th down. But it's just good to have a room like we have where everyone's not fighting for targets, not fighting for the rock every play. We're just happy to see each other succeed, and as long as the team wins, that's all that matters.
What have you noticed from Taylor's accuracy during these last 4 games, and the completion percentage is much better than it was earlier in the season? What do you attribute that growth to?
Well, being that it's really his rookie year, I think as you get each week, you gain experience and knowledge and timing, and with your guys, you know the style of offense, what we're trying to do, and you just gain some comfort over time, and things happen a little bit better as you go forward.
Because he's 28, he's like, do you notice if it is like his rookie year? I get what you mean by that, but like, do you also see the benefit of his previous years? Like,
Well, in
is
that
he
there's a
farther
maturity,
along than a
there's a
traditional
maturity
rookie?
to the person you're dealing with. He's not 21 having a rookie year. He's 26 having a rookie year. Those things help, certainly, yeah.
How have you seen that maturity help him maybe with some struggles that might phase a younger quarterback? Are there some examples that stick out of him dealing with that because of his maturity?
You're just more resilient. You bounce back faster because you're solid in who you are and who you're with and around, and the confidence that we all have together as we're building, a sustainable winning culture together. We're all in it. We all have our piece in it. So you don't feel like you're on an island, and so you're able to really share in the uplifting feeling of being together as a team, doing something together, and I think that keeps the ups and downs at a very even pace.
What would you say has been the key? It seems like Taylor's maybe been more consistent lately with some of the things he's been doing. What would you say has been the key to him nailing some of those things down?
It's really just the experience of the games, and being used to the situations, being who you're with, and then the plays that come in, because some of these things repeat each week. Some of the concepts, who we're throwing it to and why, so it's not new. You're not occupying more mental space with a new concept. It's the same concept. We're just dressing it up with a different personnel or a different formation, so it doesn't occupy as much space mentally, which you have time to just soak other things in.
How quickly does Taylor learn from a mistake and correct it? I mean, is he the type to typically, you only do it once and the next time you get it right, or what's kind of his process?
Well, not many things happen over and over again every week. Certain things pop up from time to time. The 11 guys on the other side are pretty darn good, and they put you in situations that make it difficult for you to be consistent over time. But I think how mentally tough he is and how resilient he is, and the guys we have around him allow him to be, on a consistent streak that we're on right now, and being able to build together as a group.
Where have you seen him take the greatest strides, and what area do you think he still needs to kind of continue to work on?
Yeah, there's a lot less ups and downs to a bad play happens and we bounce back mentally. Doesn't mean we're going to score the next time, but you bounce back mentally, where you process the next play, you don't let it linger, and we're on to the next and on to the next. He's done a really nice job of keeping things where they're supposed to be, taking the learning from it to provide fuel to be better the next time, but not let it linger what drags your confidence down for the next time either. There's a balance there. He does a good job with that.
What's been maybe the most either an impressive thing or something that jumped out at you, maybe in addition to that, what you just said, what's, that stood out with Taylor? Anything that's either been more impressive or surprising to you during this?
Well, I just like the results, and I like doing the same thing over and over again when you know the process is right. So the thing I like is he's able to repeat the process of a game week, how you study, how you prepare, the way you mentally get to practice, the way you keep your body right so you have a chance to throw the ball on a Wednesday and not be so sore that there's certain things you can't do. There's all these things we're figuring out on the fly as a starter, and he's done a really nice job of putting a week together that works for him without being completely overloaded, keeping it light and fun and still, but getting the work in and being focused. It's been a nice balance.
What do you, maybe a hard question to answer now, but what do you think he has to do to convince people that he should be not only the guy now, but moving forward beyond this?
Yeah, the only convincing is on a week-by-week basis. We need to play well this week, and that's about all we have time and mental energy and space for. The rest of the stuff handles itself. The rest of the stuff is for Coach Rivera to handle.
You guys have been emphasizing the run game more during this stretch, and from that, Taylor's play action has been he's been effective through that. How much was the thought of with the running? We already know he's effective with the play action, and this is an opportunity to emphasize that part of his game even more.
Hit me with that again, please.
The fact that you guys have been running the ball more
Yeah.
and making a choice to do that, how much was it of knowing that, hey, Taylor's pretty good with play
yeah.
action, and therefore we can emphasize that part of his game even more?
Well, there's a lot of things that go into it. You want to sit there in a pass game, and we've got guys that deserve the ball as well, and being balanced in how you go about that it really poses a threat to the defense when you can do both effectively. He's a good play action player because he can see the field very well, and it also opens up the rush lanes for him in the protection when he needs to take off and go. So it's a big threat to the defense that way because he can run like crazy, but he also throws the ball down the field pretty good. So it plays into our hands that way. We've got some guys we really want to get the football to running wise, and we want to let our O-line eat a little bit, and lean on people. And that's always good to help, against the pass rushers that we're seeing.
And you guys are on your fourth string center at this point. For the quarterback, how much of an adjustment is that especially it's all happened pretty quickly here in the last few weeks, how much of an adjustment is that, and what specifically is there for him to consider?
Well, there is some, but through the course of a whole week, when it happens in the middle of a game, it's hard, because you didn't have practice reps with a particular guy, but as you get a full week under your belt, things even out a little bit, and you get a little bit more comfortable with the calls, how they're happening, and where the snaps are at. So it worked out pretty good with Keith, and I know we're getting some other guys back in there, and we'll be excited to get them going too.
You've had more continuity this year with Taylor as opposed to last year with all the quarterback flip-flopping. I know Fitz was the plan, but since week one, it's been Taylor. Just how much has that helped you guys kind of understand each other, and how much more can you get out of a guy when you're working with him for a couple months as opposed to a couple weeks and then it's a new guy on?
Yeah, the communication is really quick because you had a chance to see through training camp, okay, what are the holes, what are the things we need to improve on, what's he good at, and then all of a sudden you tailor your offense that way. Okay, what does it look like when it actually happens in a game? Now what? And then you kind of hone it in a little bit more to the skills. And as you keep going forward, you find out, okay, he's really good at this, and these are some things you might stay away from, and you kind of go on from there. It's really good to have the same guy. There's a consistency. You know what the expectations are. You know what to expect, what you're going to get, and then you know how to push him in areas where he needs to be better for us to be a better offense.
And it seems like the past couple weeks especially, he's had 8 or 9 guys he's thrown to over the course of the game. What about him makes him such a good distributor?
Well, we got a bunch of guys that are worthy. And so that makes it easy, and a bunch of guys that are capable. So it's very comfortable to throw to guys. We've been doing it. And through spring, he's worked with all these guys because he was the backup in the spring. So he's had those guys. He's a starter now. He's had those guys. So he's comfortable with all these guys' body language, speed, when they get their head around, where the ball is going to be, all these things that take experience and time. He's had that with these guys, so it's fun to watch it happen. None of it means you win, but it means you put the odds in your favor a little by little as we go forward, so things work out in your favor more over time.
This is maybe a minor note, but is there a consistent theme to why some of Taylor's passes go high?
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out. I think when you're throwing to Logan, he can do so much so high, and sometimes you get a little excited, and maybe it goes high a couple of times. There were 3 in the last game, and 2 he came down with. 1 that third down scramble to the left, didn't quite get there, but it happens from time to time.